one second right now. So hi everyone, welcome to the ECES Summer 2019 Session B Pre-Departure Orientation. My name is Duncan. You've been emailing with me or have heard from me through email with program acceptances. I'm the ECES staff member primarily in charge of admissions and pre-departure advising. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask either in the chat bubble. I'll be keeping an eye on it through the webinar. And besides that, if you have any follow-up questions, I'll be sending out an email with a link to this webinar at the end of the webinar session. And you can come back, you can reference the webinar at any point, and also just feel free to email me. But this is a great time, if you were here watching this live, to just type a question in the chat bubble if you have anything, and I'll answer it in real time. So let's get started. First, we're going to be going over the orientation schedule a little bit. And so I will say for any students from Lingnan that you will have a different arrival date than what is posted here, but I will be emailing you about this, and you should already know about your arrival date. But for anyone else, the official start of the program is going to be Monday, June 17th. As long as you come on our official arrival day to start the program, we will be able to pick you up at the airport, and I will in just a second as well talk more about the pre-departure arrival details. But for right now, the next day we're going to be starting orientation on Tuesday, June 18th. On this day, we're going to be going through a few different things, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in detail after. The orientation itself is going to last most of the week. We're going to have a few trips outside of Prague to a few different locations and Czech cities. So I'll go over this in a second, like I said. And then after that, we have optional orientation activities on the weekends. You'll be able to see these on the ECES website under activities. I'll go over this in a second as well. And the end of the program will be July 13th. Let's go on with the presentation, and I'll show you a little bit more in detail. So course registration is going to be starting on May 15th. The important thing for this is now we do have all of our courses finalized on the ECES website. So you will be able to go to the ECES website after you have registered on the site and check out all of your course options ahead of time. We really do suggest that as soon as possible, if you haven't already, to please register for your profile on the website. I mentioned this in the acceptance emails, but please, if you have any issues registering on the website, we would like for you to do that as soon as possible, just so if you have any issues or anything, you can email me and follow up, and we can figure it out, because you will need to be registered on the website for course registration. It will start at 4 p.m. Central European time. This will be, I have it written down, 10 a.m. Eastern for anyone in the Eastern US. And I would ask that for our students in Hong Kong, the UK, and Singapore, just please double check that you have the right time zone for when this course registration will start for you. But like I said, 4 p.m. Central European time, May 15th. So please, spaces are given on a first-come, first-served basis. So we really do recommend that as soon as courses start registering, that you be prepared to start registering for all of your classes. And ahead of time, what you can do to prepare, just in case there are any courses that you want but can't get into, just make sure you have a few separate options. A few different courses that you might want to take in case something fills up. In addition to this, I do want you to know that generally we will allow you to take up to 3 courses for the summer semester, although that's a bit on the heavier side because our courses will be meeting for 3-hour blocks every day because it's a shorter semester and because we don't have the resources and the time for a full semester. You're going to be having classes every day of the week from Monday through Friday. Our courses are in a block schedule of 3 periods of 3 hours for each period. Please, when you're registering as well, double check that if you want to sign up for 2 courses, that they don't conflict with each other. They're not at the same time. Since classes, like I said, meet every day, if you have 2 classes that you want to sign up for, but they both meet at 9 a.m., then you'll only be able to take one of those classes. So I'll be going over the website and where you can find the courses there in just a second. And one more thing I do want to say about courses, that if a course is already full, you can still register for it and you're put on a wait list. So we have a 2-day add drop period that will be the first 2 days of our full classes. Please, if you are on the wait list, still show up to the course if you can. That way you're not missing anything if you do get added to the course after the add drop period is over. But students usually do switch around their courses a little bit during the add drop period. So if there's a course you really do want to get into, but it's full, we really do recommend that you sign up for the wait list. And just please be attentive after the add drop period is over. If you are still on the wait list for a course and the course is full, we will remove you from the course wait list and the registry, and you won't be able to attend it. So while course registration is still going on, please just keep an eye on the wait list. So I'm going to go over the website registration really quick. Once this loads. Okay. So in order to register, if you haven't already, you'll just go down to login. I'll show this again. Login. You're going to see this screen. If you've already created your account, then you'll just sign in with your username or email and password. But if you haven't registered yet, go down here to new user and register. And you'll type in your first name and family name as you submitted it for your application, as well as your date of birth. And I would ask that if you're having any issues registering on the website, please send me an email with your first name, your last name, exactly as you put it on the application, as well as your full date of birth, just so we can troubleshoot. So after you've typed it in, you'll register, and then you'll be prompted to give us your email again, as well as a username and password. Yes, perfect. Okay, so it's showing this because I already have an account on the site, but username. Okay. After you get into the site, this is what your profile is going to look like. So if you go over to the side, you have your courses, and this is what our finalized list of courses is going to look like. So when you have registered on the website, please just take a second, go through the courses, make sure that you know exactly which courses you want to register for. And like I said before, that you have a course that, just in case something fills up, that you have a backup course for it, just in case. So let's go back to the profile. Okay, After you have registered and registered for courses, you'll have over here under the course tab, everything will show up. And this will kind of be your home page on ECES for your time here. As well, we have activities, other information you can look at, like your grades and attendance after they're posted. And so let me show you some of the activities. We don't have everything finalized and posted currently, but right now we have an example of some of our orientation trips, as well as we'll be having an excursion to Radio Free Europe. I'll talk about this in a second with our activities, but if you have any questions about the interface, please feel free to let me know. Additionally, over here under academic policies and procedures, we'll have more information about the website and about the policies of the program, although we will also have you sign some forms with this information after your arrival. But I would still ask that you quickly, just on your own time, go over the academic policies and procedures, just so you know what to expect for the program. And additionally, we have our pre-departure guide over here, semester information. So if you go to semester information, then you can open up the pre-departure guide that I sent you all through your email. Okay, we'll be adding that, but please double check the pre-departure guide as well that I sent you through the acceptance emails, because there's a few things on there that I'll be pointing out as the webinar goes on that's important for before the program starts. All right. So, like I said before, the official arrival date is Monday, June 17th. And for transportation of the dormitory, like I mentioned before, by May 31st, you will need to submit the arrival details of your flight if you would like for us to pick you up from the airport. This is important if you want to get to the dorm through our transportation. It's a lot easier than having to get to the dorm by yourself. So please, before May 31st, submit your arrival details to us. This can be found on the ECES website, and I will also attach it to the follow-up email after this. But please also just fill this out before May 31st. Additionally, I do want to say that we will only pick you up from the airport if you arrive on the official arrival date of Monday, June 17th. If you show up a day earlier or any other day, then we will not be able to pick you up from the airport, and you will have to organize your own transportation to the dorm. So please just if you are arriving on Monday, June 17th, fill this out as soon as possible and let me know if you have any questions about it. On the arrival date, we're going to have staff at the dorm all day to help you check in, and we'll be there with your housing packages, which will have forms as well as all of the specific information about the dorm itself. And so we will be there to answer any questions on the official arrival date. Make sure to bring your passport with you to check in at the front desk. I believe all of you are flying from outside of the country, and so you'll already have your passports, but just be sure to have it ready. And so I see your question. So the question is there a time period in which you have to arrive or for the whole day of June 17th? So I would say try to arrive before 5 p.m. Prague time. Although we will be at the dorm for most of the day from the morning until about 5 p.m. Although please include this on your flight information form. If your flight is delayed or anything like this, and you're not able to get in before 5 p.m., then you can let us know. And also, I will be providing, prior to the arrival date, the 24-hour ECES emergency phone. if for some reason your flight is delayed or you're not able to get to the dorm or the airport otherwise when you originally stated you would, you can let us know there, and we'll be able to work it out with you. So just keep us posted after you get your flight. And so a few things about the dorm itself. So sheets and towels are provided for you at the dormitory. There are cleaning ladies who are fantastic and work there 5 days a week. And they will do the laundry specifically for the sheets. You'll have to do your own laundry for clothes and everything, but the sheets are provided for towels as well. So don't worry about packing any sheets or towels, and especially toiletries as well. They are not provided, but just be sure that when you're packing, you don't overpack. It's extremely cheap after you're in Prague to buy things like toothpaste, shampoo, soap for the shower. So just make sure that when you're packing, you don't go overboard on these things because you can buy them here. All right, and so for the dorm itself, you've gotten a little bit of information about it already. But so it's going to be a suite style. We do have single rooms available for those of you who request them. We only have a limited number, and so we're going to be giving them out by first come, first serve. We will let you know about your exact room assignment on your arrival date. And so we can't say until you show up to the dorm on the arrival date itself which room you'll be in or who your roommates or suite mates are, but as soon as you get to the dorm, we'll let you know. And so we also have a housing coordinator on site. So our housing coordinator is going to be your first point of contact if you have any issues with the dorm, if there are any lights that are out, if you need help with anything on site. So please, we will give you his contact information after you get here. And we think this is a really easy way for you guys to have a bit of help on site. But otherwise, you can always reach out to ECES staff as well. For the amenities at the dorm, we do have a full kitchen just for ECES students. It is a communal room. It has couches, a TV, tables, and a chair, as well as a full kitchenette with utensils and dishes and plates, and a refrigerator. So this is a shared space for you. If you want to go and just hang out there, if you want to cook dinner there, it's only for ECES students, so please make full use of this kitchen. And also, we'll remind you about this after you arrive, but please clean after yourself in the kitchen since it is a communal space just for you guys. A little bit of the responsibility falls on you to just make sure that it's clean and tidy. Like I said, we'll talk a bit about this more after you arrive and we give you the tour of the dorm. All right, and also, Monday through Friday, we have breakfast provided, except for on July 5th, which is a national holiday, and that's a Friday, but every other Monday through Friday during the course of the program, we'll have breakfast provided. I believe the breakfast hours are from 7 to 9, although we will tell you about this as well after you get here. But it's a full continental European breakfast with deli meats and cheeses and cereal, yogurt, fruits, vegetables. There's not going to be there's no waffles, no pancakes, no eggs or anything. It's very light and European, as well as coffee. So we have a bit more about this after you get here as well. But also our kitchen coordinator, Pani Blanca, always does take recommendations for things to add to breakfast. If there's missing something that you would like to see, and especially too if you have any dietary needs, you can be in contact with her about this. And we do listen to your input for the breakfast. Wi-Fi is in the building all throughout. And so after you get here, we will give you your Wi-Fi login information. And additionally, we have full 24/7 reception staff with gated entry to the building to make sure everyone is safe and that the building is a space just for the students and people staying there. So we will be giving you a student ID after you arrive. And with this student ID, you can buzz into the building, and you'll have to show this every time you enter. This is primarily just for your safety, so make sure to keep your student ID with you at all times. Additionally, if you wish to have any friends or family stay with you at the dorm, if they're visiting, you will have to check them in the dorm while the reception is open. We will provide more information about this as well, but you need to check all of your friends in who are not already living at the dorm every time they show up, and there's a fee if you wish to have them stay over. And so the dorm address here, and we'll be looking at a map in a second of Prague, but the dorm address is Padežova 6 in Prague 6, and here we have the zip code after as well. I want to let you know that this is not in Prague 1 by Old Town. It's in a very nice residential neighborhood of Prague. And so because of this, you're getting a little bit more of a Czech experience. That being said, I'll go over this in a second as well, but it's only about a 10-minute commute into town. And one last thing I'll say about the dorm is that right now we do have a bit of minor construction going on through the working days. But like I said, this is only during regular working hours. So we're trying to keep the construction to a minimum, but there are rooms that are being reconstructed, and there will be a little bit of noise during the workday. Like I said before, though, the dorm itself is located in a very nice suburb, or rather a residential area of Prague. Let me see, I'll circle it for you. Well, here's all of Prague. This is kind of most of the interior of Prague, going to the zoo in the north, as well as the more outdoors park area of Dvukasharka out here. And so most of your experience in Prague will be within this map. Let's zoom in just a little bit more. So if you look right here, this is where the dorm is going to be at Padežova, and it's just a short, I'll say about 2-3 minute walk to the closest tram stop here, Pohožadec. From there, it's about a 10-minute tram ride to the main building, where most of our classes are going to be held, here at Náměstí Jana Palacha. So this is our main building where my office is located throughout the semester, as well as where a lot of your classes are going to be held. So it's only, like I said, about 10 minutes to get there. I'll say, give about 20 minutes for your transit, just in case the tram is late, or just in case there are any accidents or heavy traffic around the way. So the tram itself will stop here at Malostranska, and it's just a short walk across the bridge. We'll be showing you more after you get here, a little bit more about the trams. And other than that as well, if you wish, you can just walk down past Pohožadec and go through parts of Old Town here to past Hradčany to Mladá Strana. It's a very nice, beautiful walk of the old part of Prague. But like I said, the dorm itself is a bit out of the way from kind of the touristy areas. So you have a little piece of quiet out there. And also, besides our main building, which I said is here, we also have our Jędryska classrooms, which is where the rest of the ECES office is, as well as 2 of our classrooms. So all of your classes will be in one of these 2 buildings. They're about a 10-minute walk from each other, so it's very easy to get back and forth. Jędryska is right off of Václavské náměstí, which is one of the main squares in Prague, in one of the main areas. So we're right in the city and right close to everything. So let's go to the next slide. So for the orientation itself, like I said before, we're going to be having check-in all day on Monday, June 17th. In the evening, we have a meet and greet at a local restaurant where you can have some traditional Czech food, get to know all the ECES staff as well as your fellow students. And so we'll bring you there and you're able to buy the food. And the next day, we're going to be having most of our orientation kind of heavy lifting, in that we're going to have a short housing orientation for you. We'll show you what the dorm looks like, as well as recap all of the dorm information that I told you, and give you a bit more pointed and specific information about the housing, and introduce you as well to our housing coordinator. After this, we'll be getting your student ID cards. Like I said, this is how you're going to be entering not only the dorms, but also our classroom buildings at Jędryska. So make sure that you have the student ID with you at all times. And also, in addition to this, you can use the student ID to get student discounts around Prague for things that require a student ID. So it's just really helpful to have this on you at all times, besides the actual practical of using it to get in the dorms. After this, we're going to be having a welcome meeting where we're going to go over a little bit more of the program, such as the academics and the course calendar. And then we're going to be giving you a survival Czech seminar, which is an introduction to the language. This is going to be the first part, and I'll talk a little bit more about the language in a second. But we will be giving you a little bit of this crash course survival guide so that you can use it to get a little bit more acclimated for your home for the duration of the program. And then for Wednesday and Thursday, we are going to be holding orientation trips. You have a choice between 2 orientation locations, which we have on the website. That you can choose to go on either Wednesday or Thursday, whichever trip you do not go on. So say you wish to go to one of the locations on Thursday, June 20th. That means that on Wednesday, June 19th, you will be having the second part of your survival Czech seminar, and vice versa. If you choose to go on the orientation trip on Wednesday, you'll be having the second part of your survival Czech seminar on Thursday. And so we have, like I said, 2 separate locations that you can go to for each day. And so you can choose from either of those. I see another question in the chat that so the question is that the tours on the website are filled up. Are there more slots? Right now, we have not opened up the activity registration. So the tours are empty, the activities are empty currently. We'll be going over this a little bit closer to the program itself. With the activity registration, you'll be able to sign up, but don't worry. Right now, the trips are not signed up, or they're not filled up. There are still spaces, so don't worry about that. And also, I showed you the trips before. We will be adding to this list on the website in the coming weeks as we finalize our optional trips as well. And so after the orientation trips and Czech survival seminar, over the weekend, we're going to be having some optional orientation activities. You don't have to take part in these if you don't wish. You can use this as a free weekend, but we really do recommend that you make the most of the program while you're here. And so, for example, on Friday, June 21st, we are going to be having a limited amount of slots for a tour of Radio Free Europe's campus, which is a extremely integral and important political radio station in Prague. And so also on Sunday, June 23rd, we're going to be having a tour of the Prague Peace Trail with one of our professors, which is a really good walking tour of Prague and its history. So these are just examples of what the orientation activities are going to look like. And also throughout the semester, we're going to be having a few more optional trips you can sign up for. Like I mentioned already, Radio for Europe Tour and Prague Peace Trail. And also, in the past, we've had trips to Dresden in Germany. We've had hiking trips to Český Raj. So these are just a sample of some of the activities that we'll have. And like I said, we'll be finalizing these on the website in the coming weeks. And so just a few notes on things to prepare for before you get here. So a big thing that I think is really underrated is do some research on the history and the politics of the Czech Republic. This is going to be your home, like I said, for the duration of the program. And so I think it helps a lot to get acclimated with the history, especially in the 20th and the 21st century of the country. I think that also kind of lets you into a bit of the culture and how people act, very much not only in the Czech Republic, but all through Europe. History is very much present. It affects the way that people think and the way that people act in public. And so knowing a bit about the history and the politics will definitely help you acclimate a little bit more, and I think will let you understand Czech people a little bit easier. And especially too, if you meet any Czech friends, it's always really nice to have kind of the background of what's going on in their home country. In addition to this, start learning Czech. There are a few separate ways you can start to learn Czech, either through Memrise or through Duolingo. Both of these are some easy beginner language learning apps. They're available both on browser as well as the apps. Duolingo just recently finished their mobile app and their Czech section. And so these are some really easy ways to just get into the basics. Dobrý den, hello, nashledanou, goodbye, děkuju, thank you. And at least if there's one thing to prepare for, it's the phonetics and the pronunciation of the Czech language. At least if you learn the pronunciation, then you'll be able to read the tram stops easier, and you'll be able to get directions easier. And it just makes it a little bit easier on you for getting around. I do understand the Czech language is very difficult. You've probably been able to gather, but I'm not Czech, and so I had to learn the language, and the pronunciation is definitely difficult for those who are not native speakers. But so Duolingo especially is a very easy way to go about it. And additionally, like I said, we'll be having the Czech seminars with our professors to help you a little bit more after you get here. And so for Czech culture, once you get here, just please be prepared that Czech people are sometimes a little bit more, they can be a little bit more closed off if they don't know you. They're not trying to be rude. They're not trying to be, mean or anything. This is just kind of how the culture is, that if they don't know someone in public, they're a little bit more standoffish. So you won't see people smiling in the street if they don't know someone, or waving at you if they don't know you. And like I said, this isn't them being rude. It's just how the culture and the how people act in public here. So don't be put off at first when you get here. Especially though, like once you start to get to know Czech people, they're a lot more open. It's just when you first get to know people and in public, and especially too, this affects the way that people act on public transit. So please, one thing that you'll notice when you get here is that on the public transit, on the trams, on the metro, people are extremely quiet. Of course, you'll hear a bunch of tourists, especially like closer to the castle, talking loudly on the trams, but Czechs are very quiet, usually on the trams. And also, one thing I will say about public transit is that it's extremely popular here in Prague. Taxis and Uber aren't a thing. Uber itself is illegal in Prague, and so it does not act legally. Taxis as well are here, but they're not very popular with people who live here, and especially taxis are known for overcharging if they think that you might not be Czech. They'll take long routes around to get to where your destination is. So the best way to go get around the city is by public transit. We'll be giving you transit passes when you get here. But we really do ask for you, or rather recommend, that you take public transit after you get here, because it's a really nice way to see the city and get used to being a local, especially if you're from a smaller city. I don't know if public transit exactly is pervasive where you're from, but here it's a big thing. And so for practical considerations before you actually get here, please make sure that you call your credit card company and your bank and let them know that you'll be traveling, especially if they see any purchases in Europe and you didn't let them know. Rightly so, they'll think it's a little bit suspicious and might block your card, and you really don't want to be in Europe cut off from your money in your bank. So please call your credit card company ahead of time and your bank, let them know you'll be here, as well as if you're traveling to any other countries in Europe. We're extremely close to Germany. If you're just going on a weekend trip to Germany, let your bank know ahead of time that you'll be in Germany then. That way they don't think it's strange or anything like that you're making this purchase in another country. So just do that ahead of time. And as well, too, if you are paying for any of our tuition or housing fees through our payment portal, please call your bank ahead of time as well and let them know. Since we are a university based in the Czech Republic, it'll look like a payment in the Czech Republic. And if you don't let your bank know, it can look a little bit suspicious. So for the current exchange rate, I will say that Prague and the Czech Republic have their own currency, the Czech crown. Even though the Czech Republic is in the European Union, the Czech Republic is not on the euro. So when you get here, 20 Czech crowns is approximately $1 US. So be prepared to use Czech crowns, and especially if you go on any trips outside of Prague, you'll probably have to switch into using the euro or whatever local currency the countries you're going to use. And also a big thing that people don't always prepare for. I believe all of our students coming in are from countries that use a different outlet from the Czech Republic. So make sure that you buy outlet converters before you get here for all of your electronics, especially for your phone chargers and for your laptops. We recommend you get these before you leave on your plane. Before you travel here, you should have these already, just in case anything happens. And one thing to make sure of is make sure that these converters, after you get them, have the proper voltage converter. One thing besides the actual outlet itself that's different is the voltage for devices in Europe and your home countries can be different. So make sure that you double check the voltage. And please do not bring any heat producing appliances. Specifically, do not bring any hair dryers, any hair straighteners, or anything of this ilk. These generally do not work with the outlet converters. And oftentimes we've had these devices break or overheat because of it. It's very easy, especially once you get here, to just go to Tesco or a supermarket and buy a new hairdryer or a new hair straightener for very cheap. So we would really recommend you doing that rather than bringing your own. And this way it also cuts down on your packing space. You're only going to be here for a handful of weeks. And so you don't want to overpack, and then especially if you get more things while you're here, have to pack it all up and fit everything. So just plan ahead. If you have any questions about that, we'll also be sending out a packing guide later. That'll be a guide for what not to forget, things that you can leave at home, things that you can buy here, etc. And also one thing that you can do before you show up is get an ECES card. So this you can only apply for in your home country. After you get here, you are not able to apply for an ECES card, so make sure you get this if you would like it. Apply for it, as soon as possible if you're interested. What an ISIC card is an international student identification card. So you can use this in addition to your Charles University ID to get a few more student discounts at places. Especially, you are sometimes able, double check this with every airline, but sometimes you're able to get discounts on flights, discounts at movie theaters, and there are a plethora of places that offer student discounts with the ISIC card. So please get this ahead of time if you're interested while you're still in your home country and apply through your home university. And you can go to www.isic.org, and this will allow you to apply for the card. It has all the information there for applying. So if you're thinking about this, do it sooner rather than later. After this webinar, or just about at the end, after this webinar is over, you're probably wondering next steps, things to do. So I'll be sending this out as well in the follow-up email. But just check off that you've done all of these things. Make sure that if you haven't already sent us your passport-sized photo, that is the passport, the identification photo that meets passport specifications. It's not just a picture of your passport photo itself. It is a separate photo that we use to put on your housing ID cards. So please send us this if you haven't already. Submit your housing preference form by May 1st. The easiest way to do this is on our website. You can access the Summer Session B 2019 housing preference form. We ask you to do this just so we know if you would like a single, if you would like to stay at the dorm, if you have any preference for roommates. So please get this in as soon as possible by May 1st. Submit your arrival form details as well, like I mentioned, by May 31st. If you don't do this, like I said, we can't pick you up at the airport. So please do this. If you haven't already, like I said as well, register for your account on the ECES website, like I showed you earlier on in this webinar. And especially if you have any issues with registering, that way we can get issues sorted out before course registration. So we ask that you at least, at the very latest, register by 1 week prior to course registration, which, like I said, registration will be on May 15th. So please, at least a week before, register, so that way if there are any issues, we have time to figure it out. Also, submit your health form if you haven't already by email to me. If you don't have my email, I've accepted you already and sent you emails, but my email again is duncan.eaton@ff.cuny.cz. You can also find it on the contact page of the ECES website. So please email it to me as soon as possible. And other things to do are watch our Intro to Czech Language video on our YouTube page. I will be sending this out as well, connected to the follow-up email, but this is a really good way to, like I said, get acquainted with the language before you get here, and I really would recommend it. Past this, we'll also be sending out, like I said, the sample budget and packing lists, and also join our Facebook page and our alumni groups. I will be sending these out as well. But this is a really good way to connect with your fellow students before you get here and kind of meet everybody. And also during the session itself, we will be using this as kind of a way to reach out to the whole program in addition to emails. We'll be sending event reminders, etc., and announcements on the Facebook page. So we really do recommend that you join the Facebook page and also like us on Instagram. And so this is the end of the presentation. So please, I'll give you guys a few minutes. If you have any final questions while I'm here, please let me know in the chat if you have any questions, and I'll give you a few minutes. And also, if you have any other questions too that you can't think of right now, always feel free to email me. Like I said, it's duncan.eaton@ff.cuny.cz. I'll always be answering my emails, and especially as we get closer to the deadline, I will be following up with some more pointed information. And so, hold on. I see a question. I'm going to reply. I'll reply separately. I see a question asking how many students are enrolled in the program. I'm not sure with the exact number off of the top of my head. We will know closer to the actual program date, especially because we get a lot of students from other partners, and we're not finished accepting all of our applications currently. So we will know closer to the actual program start date. Yeah, if anyone has any other questions, like I said, I'll give you a minute to type them in. And other than that, like I said, feel free to email me at any point. And thank you guys for all showing up. And for anyone watching this on YouTube, everything that I said about emailing me as well goes out to you. And thank you all for coming to the pre-departure webinar. So I hope you're getting a little bit excited about the upcoming trip to Prague. I thank you all again, and let me know if you have any questions through email. So have a good rest of the day, night. I know you guys are all kind of scattered around the world, so whatever time it is, cheers and take care.